Starting to practice magic from Uchiha. Chapter 31. Ah! With a scream, the puppeteer who was controlling several kunai with chakra lines was slashed in the neck by Asuma and fell to the ground. The puppeteer who lost his puppet was like a tiger without teeth and claws. Facing the joint efforts of Asuma and Hong, he was killed despite his tenacious resistance. The soul reserve in Uchiha Feiyu's hand increased by 1. Asuma and Hong finally had the experience of fighting with ninjas. The life of this puppeteer finally provided these things. After killing people, Asuma's face was red and he was out of breath. It was not because of too much physical consumption, but because he was too nervous after killing people. The first time to kill the same kind will cause some shock to most people. Because of personal experience, Uchiha Feiyu didn't care much about this, but for Asuma, who was less than 10 years old, the shock was relatively large. Fortunately, the ninja training since childhood made Asuma and Hong come back to their senses quickly, but there were some changes in their temperament. After killing this small group of ninjas, the rest of the journey was no problem. The Hyuga Hazashi team quickly delivered the storage scroll to the battlefield hospital and completed the task handover. After returning to Konoha Ninja Village, Hyuga Hazashi submitted the task report and was called to the Hokage's office by the third Hokage as expected. Hazashi, is everything you said in the report true? Uchiha Feiyu is so strong. After reading the report provided by Hyuga Hazashi, the third Hokage knew that this elite of the Hyuga clan should not talk nonsense, but he still asked with some doubts. It was really that the marginal person of Uchiha mentioned by Hyuga Hazashi showed too terrifying strength. Although Hyuga Hazashi had just turned 20 years old, he could be called an elite Jonin based on the blood of his Byakugan. He thought he was definitely not the opponent of Uchiha Feiyu, and Uchiha Feiyu was also an elite Jonin at least. For an elite Jonin of 13 or 14 years old, it is almost impossible for an ordinary ninja without bloodline limit to do this. Only the top bloodline ninja can do this. After hearing the question from the third Hokage, Hazashi spoke with certainty. Uchiha Feiyu's strength has definitely surpassed mine, and he is probably much stronger than ordinary elite Jonin. The ordinary Chunin of the Sand Ninja basically kills in one move, and that special Jonin only fought with Uchiha Feiyu for 2 moves. In my opinion, Uchiha Feiyu's strength should at least reach the level of elite Jonin, and it is very likely that he has the strength of a quasi-kage. After hearing this, the third Hokage took 2 puffs of his pipe, frowned, and then asked. Then have you seen Uchiha Feiyu's Sharingan? To what level has he developed his Sharingan? Hazashi was stunned for a moment, and then said. Sharingan. Feiyu's Sharingan is only at the level of 2 Magatama, and has not been developed to the level of 3 Magatama. Is that so? Okay. I understand, thank you for your hard work, Hazashi, go back and rest. The third Hokage secretly breathed a sigh of relief and sent Hazashi away. As a disciple of the second Hokage Senju Tobirama, Sarutobi Hiruzen also knows the Uchiha clan's Sharingan very well. Uchiha's Mangekyo Sharingan can maintain the level of 3 Magatama, but there is no way to disguise it as a 2 Magatama Sharingan. In other words, the double Magatama Sharingan is the real level of Uchiha Feiyu, and there is no possibility of hiding. As long as the Mangekyo is not opened, the third Hokage does not need to worry too much. Although Uchiha Feiyu's talent is indeed quite amazing, there is still a certain upper limit for ordinary ninjas. Even if you can become a quasi-kage at the age of 13 or 14, and become a kage in 1 or 2 years, it is just a faster growth in strength. It is almost impossible to break through the limit of the kage level without relying on blood limit. And Uchiha Feiyu obviously does not have much talent in the development of Sharingan blood. The third Hokage even thinks that the other party can open the 2 Magatama Sharingan because of his own strong ninja talent. I don't know how this kid suddenly opened his Sharingan when he was 10 years old. Forget it. Anyway, it's a waste for such a genius to stay in an ordinary genin team. Fortunately, his relationship with the Uchiha is not very good, so there is no need to worry about the influence of the Uchiha clan on him. Although Danzo didn't evoke the darkness in his heart, he finally created an irreparable rift between him and the Uchiha. But the kid's personality is very difficult to deal with. It is definitely impossible to let him join the Anbu and other departments. Let him join the front line directly. I don't know if he is willing. The third Hokage has no doubt that if he is not satisfied with his arrangement for Uchiha Feiyu, then at best he will be a result of working without effort, and even if he directly defected, it is definitely not something that Uchiha Feiyu can't do. The other party neither believed in the so-called Will of Fire nor had a deep bond with the Konoha ninja village, and even did not care about his reputation and other people's comments. In the eyes of the third Hokage, Uchiha Feiyu was definitely not a qualified ninja, but it was precisely because of this that the third Hokage could not use him as cannon fodder. After all, he really could defect. If it was just an ordinary genin and chunin, who is so greedy for life and afraid of death, selfish and self-centered, the third Hokage would have plenty of ways to crack down on him. Of course, chunin and genin would not be in the eyes of the third Hokage. Having reached the level of Uchiha Feiyu, the tolerance of the third Hokage will undoubtedly be much higher. It is even because of his disregard for the overall situation that the top leaders are more cautious in arranging him. After thinking for a while, the third Hokage, who was at a loss, was still ready to talk to Uchiha Feiyu. In terms of the talent shown by this young man, Konoha will have a second figure like White Fang in a few years at most. Even if this young man will not enter the top management of Konoha due to his personality, it is impossible for anyone to ignore his opinion just by relying on his cage-level strength. Just when the third Hokage was a little distressed about arranging Uchiha Feiyu himself was also a little surprised to look at the black magic inheritance in his mind. Below the Book of Magic Inheritance, a small altar appeared, and 3 tiny black air swirled in it. One of the black air looked a little stronger, and the remaining 2 black air were relatively weak. Obviously, this was the sacrifice to the Book of Magic Inheritance. As for the origin of the black energy, Uchiha Feiyu only recalled what he had done and knew it clearly. It was the 3 unlucky ninjas that he had killed. The stronger black energy should come from the special Jonin, and the remaining 2 came from the 2 Chunins. At the beginning, when Uchiha Feiyu obtained the Book of Demonic Inheritance, he worked hard for a while to get more information from the book. Unfortunately, all efforts were ineffective in the end. The Book of Demonic Inheritance in his mind did not interact with the outside world at all, and Uchiha Feiyu did not know how to obtain information from it. Now it seems, it's because I have never killed anyone before. Otherwise, I would have discovered the characteristics of this book long ago. That's right. It's said that it's a complete collection of demonic inheritance. It's completely normal to use human lives as sacrifices. I just don't know if the sacrifice requirement must be a human being, or can all intelligent creatures be used. In addition to humans, the world of Naruto still has many intelligent races such as psychic beasts. I have killed those ferocious beasts before. Although they are much smarter than ordinary beasts, they are definitely not an intelligent race. At least they cannot speak. While thinking in his mind, Uchiha Feiyu sacrificed all 3 wisps of black energy on the altar without hesitation. Suddenly, the huge book of demon inheritance in his mind trembled slightly, revealing a trace of information. How to breed silver-scaled venomous snakes. What the hell is this? After closing his eyes and absorbing the content of the message, Uchiha Feiyu's face showed obvious dissatisfaction. This time, the content given by the Book of Demonic Heritage obviously did not satisfy Uchiha Feiyu. The so-called silver-scaled poisonous snake. After Uchiha Feiyu carefully distinguished it, he figured out the origin of this snake. This is a strange venomous snake cultivated by Western poison Ouyang Feng in the legend of the Condor Heroes. The iron staff in Ouyang Feng's hand is entangled with 2 silver-scaled venomous snakes. Not only are their bodies as strong as gold and iron, they are not afraid of knives and guns are extremely poisonous. Even a master of Bei Beggar Hong Qigong's level would almost die if he was bitten. You must know that when it comes to fighting poison, the effect of internal force is better than that of chakra. In terms of poison resistance alone, Hong Qigong is even better than the average shadow-level powerhouse. This method of cultivating strange and poisonous snakes is indeed useful, but to Uchiha Feiyu, it can only be regarded as a piece of waste paper. Perhaps if you give this thing to Orochimaru, you can exchange it for something good. It would be great if you can contact Ryuji Cave. Those snake demons will probably pay a lot for this piece of waste paper. The strange snake cultivated by Ouyang Feng is not only extremely poisonous and invulnerable, but also much stronger in terms of speed and spirituality than ordinary snakes. Otherwise, it would not be possible to cooperate with his spiritual snake staff technique. Ordinary poisonous snakes can be cultivated into strange beasts. If variables like chakra are added, it may be possible to create some kind of extremely powerful psychic beast, the Snake King. If Uchiha Feiyu comes up with this breeding method, perhaps he can switch to the psychic contract in Longdi Cave. I remember that the big snakes in Raichi Cave are completely predatory. If Orochimaru fights, at least dozens or hundreds of venomous snakes will die. If I have that psychic contract, I will go to Raichi Cave to devour souls every day. The physical chakra and mental energy will probably increase greatly. Thinking of this, Uchiha Feiyu is no longer depressed. Although he doesn't know Orochimaru yet, it is probably not difficult to make a deal with this famous ninja. Compared to Tsunade and Jiraiya, Orochimaru didn't care much about Raichido's psychic contract. Enko, Kabuto, and Uchiha Sasuke had all received contracts from Raichido. At the same time, Raichido didn't care about his contractors. This is undoubtedly good news for Uchiha Feiyu. If it were the other two Sannin in the Psychic Holy Land, they would have to rely on more than just trading to get the contract. The sound of whooshing came, and the expression on Uchiha Feiyu's face changed. In an instant, the short sword was in his hand, and he drew a lightning arc, directly nailing it on the shoulder of the suddenly appearing ninja. Who are you? Wait a minute, I'm Konoha's Anbu. I'm Hokage-sama, I have something to inform you. The expression of the ninja wearing an animal mask could not be seen, but both his voice and movements showed a hint of panic, and there was faint blood seeping out from the shoulder where the knife had penetrated. Anbu are amazing. Anbu ninjas can just climb in through the window without going through the front door. Can I put on this Anbu outfit and go into other people's houses to look for things? Uchiha Feiyu was not used to this habit of Anbu. He would sneeze at this guy when he caught him. The Anbu in front of him couldn't even reply. After all, he was just giving a notice. It would be absolutely nothing to talk about breaking someone's window. Reason. It's just that ordinary ninjas have long been accustomed to this kind of offense from Anbu, and coupled with the fear of Anbu ninjas, they naturally have no complaints at all. Unfortunately, this time they ran into the iron plate of Uchiha Feiyu. I don't have this idea. Then why didn't you knock on the door when you came in? You just came to inform me of the news, not to arrest me. Don't you even have this respect? Well, the Anbu ninja was speechless, and Uchiha Feiha blasted the unfortunate guy out with a cold face, and then went to the Hokage building. The old man from the third Hokage came to see me again. I guess it's the ninjas I killed, right? Uchiha Feiyu's heart turned slightly, and he thought of the reason why the third Hokage came to him. The strength he showed in the battle was too strong. Konoha, which is currently in the third ninja war, naturally needs this as my own fighting ability. Now that the initial battle with the Sand Ninja has ended, it has almost entered a period of calm. The battlefield is no longer as dangerous as it was at the beginning. If it drags on for too long and the other major ninja villages fail, I will probably have to go to other fronts. Comparatively speaking, the battlefield in Sand Ninja Village can be considered safe. While walking towards the Hokage building, Uchiha Feiyu was constantly convincing himself. In fact, he knew very well that the reason why he changed his mind was entirely because of the changes in the Book of Demonic Inheritance. Being able to sacrifice the lives of intelligent creatures and obtain the knowledge of the Book of Demonic Heritage was the real reason why Uchiha Feiyu changed his mind. For Uchiha Feiyu, who doesn't care about Konoha, escaping from the battlefield is not a big problem. With his current strength, as long as he is careful, his safety can be completely guaranteed. It is impossible for Konoha, which is currently at war, to be entangled with a powerful ninja who neither knows any secrets nor causes harm to itself. In a few years, even if the war is over, Konoha at that time will probably not be in the mood to find him. Uchiha flew away. The only reason for giving up the safe route is because in the past, the war was fought for Konoha, but now it was fought for himself. If you can obtain enough black energy of death as a sacrifice, you may not be able to obtain some magical skills from the world of cultivating immortals and completely change your destiny. You're here, Feiyu. The third Hokage smiled amiably, looking at Uchiha Feiyu, the troublemaker, with a kind look. The third Hokage had long known that Uchiha Feiyu had injured an Anbu ninja, but the old man obviously didn't care about it. What surprised the third Hokage was that Uchiha Feiyu, who was never motivated on weekdays, actually looked a little better this time, and his seriousness was different from usual. Hokage, do you have any mission? Uchiha Feiyu asked, which made the third Hokage a little dazed. If the third Hokage remembered correctly, this should be the first time that the fearful Uchiha asked for a mission. Actually, it's nothing. I just want to ask you if you have any idea of upgrading your ninja level. I heard that when you were on a mission this time, you ran into a team from the Sand Village, Feiyu, and you directly killed their team leader and 2 team members. According to later investigations, you directly killed a special Jonin and 2 senior Chunins. With your current strength, it would be a waste to continue to be a genin, so I plan to upgrade your ninja level. What do you think? After upgrading your ninja level, you can't stay in the team, right? Uchiha Feiyu said calmly, and the third Hokage nodded helplessly. It was impossible to hide this kind of thing from the other party. In other words, the third Hokage wants me to go to the battlefield. Well, the battle between Konoha and Sand Ninja is not as fierce as it was in the early days. If you are interested, you can go there to train. With your current elite Jonin strength, it is basically unlikely that you will encounter any major danger. Uchiha Feiyu ignored the third Hokage's persuasion, but asked directly. Now, the leader of the ninja army against Sand Ninja should be Lord Orochimaru. Yes, it is Orochimaru. The third Hokage was a little surprised by Uchiha Feiyu's question. After getting the answer, Uchiha Feiyu nodded and said. In this case, there is no problem in participating in the war. When will we set off? Uchiha Feiyu's straightforwardness caught the third Hokage off guard and made him hesitate. This kid is so active, does he have any ideas? What if the Uchiha in front of him made great contributions on the battlefield? Will it have an impact on the current power distribution in Konoha? Although Uchiha Feiyu has no roots in the Uchiha clan or in Konoha, after all, he is also surnamed Uchiha. If he really shows unparalleled strength and earns great reputation, the possibility of the Uchiha clan joining him is not small. After all, Uchiha Feiyu is young and full of talent, plus his surname, all of which are on the attention of the third Hokage, so it is not surprising to have such an idea. But just because of this suspicion, it is undoubtedly irrational to hide the combat power of an elite Jonin in the war. Not to mention that according to Uchiha Feiyu's previous personality, if he really has the idea of hiding, the other party will probably go with the flow and will not be able to contribute in the entire war. Thinking of this, the third Hokage nodded. I didn't expect that Feiyu, you are quite active this time. After you rest for 2 more days, set off with the team supporting the front line the day after tomorrow. In addition, the third Hokage smiled and took out a Chunin vest. From now on, you are a Chunin. After saying goodbye to his team leader and 2 companions, he had a farewell dinner. 3 days later, Uchiha Feiyu, wearing a Chunin vest, joined the Konoha team supporting the front line. The whole team is not large, with only more than 100 people in total, and the ninja itself does not advocate large-scale combat. The leader is a Jonin, and there are 2 special Jonin as the team's deputies. The Chunin is already a middle management level, with a total of 10 people. As for the Genin team of nearly 100 people, they are all experienced adult ninjas. Until the time of desperation, Konoha will obviously not send young ninjas to the battlefield. Everyone understands the principle of killing the chicken to get the eggs. Generally, unless they are extremely talented, ninjas under the age of 14 at the beginning of the war will mostly do some logistical work and will not enter the front battlefield. Everyone is a ninja. A team of more than 100 people began to advance silently, and it took almost a day to reach the front line of Konoha. The place where Konoha and Sand Ninja are fighting now is not in their own country, but in the river country. The small countries between the big countries are originally buffer zones, and they will inevitably become battlefields during the battle. So it seems that the hatred of small countries like the Rain country against big countries is justified. After all, every time a war breaks out, the big countries lose their ninja reserves, and the small countries are almost directly destroyed. The frontline position has a very familiar name, Kikyo Mountain. Uchiha Feiyu vaguely remembers that there was such a battle of Kikyo Mountain in the previous life of Naruto, and the victory was also on the Konoha side. At least there is no need to worry about the tragic battle with the Rock Ninja. In the war with the Iwagakure ninja, Konoha was really exhausted. If it weren't for Minato Namikaze's flying thunder god to save the situation, all the ninjas on the front battlefield would have been wiped out. Even if they won in the end, only one ninja would have survived. It was extremely tragic. Even if Uchiha Feiyu is now very short of lives to sacrifice and wants to collect some souls, he will not be crazy enough to participate in such a battle. After arriving at the front camp, the leader of the Jonin and two special Jonin went to report to the frontline commander Orochimaru, and the ordinary Chunin and Genin were simply dispersed and assigned. Uchiha Feiyu was still thinking about how to meet Orochimaru, and the Jonin who came out of the frontline command center called him directly. Feiyu Chunin, Lord Orochimaru asks you to go to the command room. Hearing this, Uchiha Feiyu's eyes lit up and he went directly to the command center. He found that he seemed to underestimate the weight of the elite Jonin level. After all, in the original work, the strength of most of the fighting parties would not be lower than that of the elite Jonin, but in fact, there are very few ninjas of this level in the entire ninja village. Uchiha Feiyu didn't know that even on the front line of such a battlefield, there were only 4 ninjas of the level of elite Jonin, and this was because the war had just begun and there was more manpower. In another 2 or 3 years, when the other ninja villages take action at the same time and the battle becomes more intense, each front will have at most 2 or 3 elite Jonins to assist, in addition to the cage-level commander. Therefore, even though Uchiha Feiyu is only a 14-year-old boy with only a Chunin title, Orochimaru will personally summon him. When Uchiha Feiyu walked into the headquarters, he saw Orochimaru with a serious look on his face, dealing with a mountain of scroll documents. Most of the thousands of people on the ninja front line were divided into teams of 4 to more than a dozen people to carry out various interspersed operations. The actual work was far more cumbersome than that of an ordinary army. Compared with Jiraiya and Tsunade, regardless of personality factors, Orochimaru is definitely more serious and responsible on the front line than those two. It is no wonder that this guy has always been considered to be the best choice for Hokage even if his image is not good. Hearing the sound of Uchiha Feiyu walking in, Orochimaru raised his head. His pale face, long hair, purple eye shadow, and snake-like pupils instantly reminded people of some kind of cold-blooded animal. Staring at myself. Fortunately, ninjas in the ninja world are well informed, so this cold aura is not surprising. If it were an ordinary person, he would have been frightened to the point of weakening his legs. Lord Orochimaru, I'm here to report. Of course, Uchiha Feiyu didn't care about Orochimaru's gaze, so he spoke naturally. Orochimaru nodded slightly, his voice hoarse. I welcome experts like Feiyu-kun to come and support the front line. It just so happens that the front line is most in need of sharp-edged ninjas like you right now. Uchiha Feiyu blinked, feeling something bad in his heart. Lord Orochimaru looks up to me too much. I'm just a young Chunin. At most I have some special skills. Feiyu-kun, there is no need to be modest. The teacher has already written to me and told me that even among the elite Junin, Feiyu-kun is considered the best. Apart from me, Feiyu-kun is probably the strongest on the front line today. Quote. The 3rd generation old man sold me out really thoroughly. Does this mean he wants me to use my Chunin salary to fight against elite Junin? Uchiha Feiyu cursed secretly in his heart, but he had already prepared for it. The relationship between him and the top management of Konoha was not close, but he was also very strong. If he came to the front line, he would definitely be used to death. I probably wouldn't let myself carry out an important task that was too difficult and looked extremely dangerous at first sight. I was afraid I would just run away, but the firefighters were absolutely determined. Lord Orochimaru thinks highly of me. I am only a 14-year-old ninja. I still lack a lot of experience. It doesn't matter. Experience cannot restrain genius. I believe you will adapt to the battlefield soon. Well, the key is that I am a Chunin and I always perform tasks that are beyond my level. I shouldn't be very good at that. If you want to become a special Junin, I can directly promote you now. As a theater commander, I still have this small right. Orochimaru said with a smile, looked at Uchiha Feiyu's speechless expression, and then spoke. Don't worry, the sand ninja is not that strong. The only one who can threaten a ninja of your level is the 4th cage. The 4th cage will be stationed in the camp, so it will be difficult to take action personally. Your safety is absolutely guaranteed. Lord Orochimaru understands me quite well. The teacher said in the letter to me that your characteristic is that cherishing life is not an incomprehensible behavior. When Orochimaru talked about cherishing life, the expression on his face was slightly serious. If he was afraid of death, Orochimaru, who was madly pursuing immortality, was no better than Uchiha Feiyu. I have read your information and know that you have learned the White Fang sword technique. If this is the case, then your mission is the same as that of the Konoha White Fang, as a sharp knife to harass and kill the combat teams in the Sand Ninja Village. This mission should be very suitable for you. Bar. Give me another reconnaissance ninja, preferably one with large-scale detection capabilities. No problem. I can send a ninja from the Mountain Clan to join your team. Not only can it make up for your weakness in investigation, but the psychic ninjutsu can also help you ask for information and contact the base camp. Then thank you, Lord Orochimaru. By the way, Lord Orochimaru, I have a method of breeding venomous snakes. Are you interested? Uchiha Feiyu reached out and took out a scroll, which was exactly the method of cultivating silver-scaled poisonous snakes that he obtained from the Book of Demonic Heritage. How to breed venomous snakes. The corner of Orochimaru's mouth curled up slightly. As a contractor of Ryuji Cave, he didn't think there was any way to cultivate venomous snakes that was beyond his knowledge. However, out of politeness, he still reached out and took the gift from Uchiha Feiyu. Gift. After just opening the scroll and looking at it for a moment, Orochimaru was slightly startled, and soon became fascinated. Compared with the chakra pythons he cultivated, the silver scale viper took a completely different path. More poisonous, faster, more flexible and more deadly. Not only that, this kind of poisonous king snake that requires many poisonous things to eat each other to finally become a poisonous king snake actually does not involve chakra interference at all. It takes a completely different path. Just by looking at it twice, Orochimaru becomes. I feel like there are a lot of ideas popping up in my head. However, Uchiha Feiyu certainly did not give Orochimaru a free gift. The entire scroll was only 1/3 of the method of cultivating a silver scale snake. After reading the scroll, Orochimaru felt that he was still unsatisfied and looked up at Uchiha Feiyu. Well, this gift is indeed very good. What is Mr. Feiyu going to exchange for this gift? I want the contract in Raichi Cave. Uchiha Feiyu spoke with a slightly excited face. Orochimaru frowned slightly. After thinking for a while, he nodded. I can help you make a contract with Longdedong, but your contract level cannot be equal to mine. Oh. What will happen if the contract level is low? Is it possible that the contract will be sealed? That won't happen. As long as you satisfy the desires of those venomous snakes, it won't be a problem even if you call those venomous snakes out to deal with me. However, ordinary contract levels cannot summon Longdedong's contract scroll. In other words, except for you, you can't let others make a contract with Longdedong. Uchiha Feiyu nodded. This restriction was dispensable to him. He didn't want to spread Longdedong's contract. Even he himself only regarded Longdedong as a buffet restaurant. The deal was reached. Uchiha Feiyu handed over the second half of the silver scale snake cultivation method without hesitation. He believed that Orochimaru would not do such a low thing as refusing to pay. This is indeed the case. After Orochimaru received the scroll from Uchiha Hiha, he summoned a white venomous snake without even looking at it. The venomous snake opened its mouth and spit out a huge scroll, which was the contract scroll of Raichido. It was in this headquarters that Uchiha Hiha signed the contract with Raichido. Having just arrived at the camp, he has obtained the contract of Longdi Cave. For Uchiha Feiyu, this is a good start. After leaving the command room, Uchiha Feiyu found an open space and began to summon snakes. He first summoned snakes as thick as wrists, then those as thick as buckets, and finally summoned giant pythons that were 20 to 30 meters long and 2 to 3 meters in diameter. In the end, Uchiha Feiyu found that the intelligence of these snakes, including those 20 to 30 meters long pythons, was not too high. They were a little stronger than ordinary chakra beasts, but the strongest would not exceed a 10-year-old child. Obviously, this kind of giant snake with low intelligence should be a complete cannon fodder in Longdi Cave. As long as there is no large-scale death in a short period of time, it is estimated that it will not attract the attention of the intelligent giant snakes in Longdi Cave. Afterwards, Uchiha Feiyu summoned ordinary venomous snakes and large giant pythons one after another, killing them and absorbing their souls. Despite the huge difference in body size, the soul of a large python is only about 1 or 2 times stronger than that of a venomous snake as thick as a wrist. Considering that large pythons should also be at a higher position in the ecological chain in Longdi Cave, the number of them cannot be countless. Uchiha Feiyu finally decided to absorb the souls of ordinary pythons every day. The soul-controlling ability of the soul-binding general also has a certain limit. After each soul swallowing, some resentment will be entangled in itself. Uchiha Feiyu can use the power of the Sharingan to dissipate and transform these resentments, but that also requires a process. This is because the resentment of the absorbed animal souls is far less powerful than that of real humans. Otherwise, the resentment may rush to the brain and become a pure lunatic. Uchiha Feiyu tried it. He can digest the souls of hundreds of pythons at most every day. This number is a drop in the bucket for Longdi Cave. The number of these pythons devouring each other alone is probably dozens of times higher than the number he digests every day. And although the soul was absorbed, the body of the python would return to the Longdi Cave and become food for the snakes in the Longdi Cave. In the final analysis, the Longdi Cave did not suffer any loss. The souls of hundreds of Longdi Cave pythons are enough to significantly improve Uchiha Feiyu's physique and spirit. As long as he insists on absorbing these souls every day, Uchiha Feiyu is confident that his chakra will increase several times in 2 or 3 months. He will definitely have shadow-level chakra in a year and close to tailed beast-level chakra in 10 years. In fact, the improvement of chakra is secondary. The improvement of physical strength and spirit may have a greater bonus to Uchiha Feiyu in the later stage. This essential improvement is enough to make Uchiha Feiyu's life level gradually surpass ordinary ninjas. Unfortunately, Uchiha Feiyu did not have time to kill and absorb the souls of these pythons, because he had to go on a mission the next day. Captain Feiyu, I brought the warrant from Lord Orochimaru. From today on, I am your subordinate. The door of the tent was opened, and the one who spoke was a ninja in his 20s with blonde hair and looked quite calm. Uchiha Feiyu took the warrant handed over by the ninja, which contained a topographic map. Uchiha Feiyu's task was to conduct guerrilla warfare at the location on the map and kill the 4-member team of Sand Ninja. This is also the norm for fighting in major ninja villages. The flexibility and lethality of ninjas are strong, but their defense is still at the level where they can be stabbed to death by kunai, which is not suitable for large-scale army operations at all. As for the positional warfare where hundreds of ninjas gather, because the casualties are too heavy, it will only happen at the beginning and end of the war. At other times, all ninjas are divided into teams, and they fight each other flexibly such as raids, infiltration, intelligence, and guerrilla warfare, constantly removing the enemy's strongholds and killing the enemy's team members until one side can't hold on, and then they will launch the final decisive battle. The White Fang of Konoha was famous in the entire ninja world because of its extremely high lethality against these teams. The Golden Flash will be better than it in the future. High-speed ninjas can be said to have taken advantage in team battles. Tell me your name, your abilities and ninjutsu. Uchiha Feiyu walked out of the tent with the blonde youth behind him and asked as he walked. The blonde youth had a calm face and did not look down on the young Feiyu at all. My name is Yamanaka Chungi, a chunin of the Yamanaka clan. I am good at perception ninjutsu and have a certain ability to telepathize at a long distance. However, my level of mental ninjutsu is not good and I don't have much combat power. Perception ninjas and contact ninjas are extremely rare talents among ninjas. If it weren't for the fact that Yamanaka Chungi's own combat power was not even as good as that of ordinary chunin, he should have become a special jonin now. The psychic ninjutsu that this Yamanaka clan ninja is good at is almost all auxiliary, and even the most basic attack ninjutsu of the Yamanaka clan, the heart-turning technique, is not well practiced. However, when working with Uchiha Feiyu, it can be said to be just right. After leaving the camp, Uchiha Feiyu directly led Yamanaka Chungi into the jungle of the river country and slowly moved to the location of the Sand Ninja camp on the map. Of course, he did not have the courage to attack the Sand Ninja camp directly, but the closer he got to the Sand Ninja, the greater the possibility of encountering a hostile team. If he stayed near the Konoha Ninja village camp, he would not encounter the Sand Ninja. As the two of them moved forward, Uchiha Feiyu was also talking to Yamanaka Seichi. This ninja from the Yamanaka clan had a calm personality. He did not care about Uchiha Feiyu's age and answered all his questions. The current offensive in Sand Ninja Village has calmed down a lot. In the first 2 months when the war started, hundreds of ninjas would fight almost every few days. In 2 months, nearly 2,000 ninjas were killed and injured on both sides. Quote. After listening to Yamanaka Seichi's introduction to the battlefield, Uchiha Feiyu thought thoughtfully. It seems that the Sand Ninja can't hold it anymore now. The so-called one-stop attack will weaken again, and then it will be exhausted. As the attacker did not have an advantage at the beginning, I am afraid the casualties will be more heavy on the other side. The captain is right. In the beginning, the Suna ninja put the blame for the disappearance of the third Kazekage on our Konoha heads. The offensive was extremely fierce, so the casualties were also very heavy. In those 2 months, more than 2,000 ninjas were killed or injured, including 60% of it belongs to Sand Ninja. Yamanaka Cheng nodded and confirmed Uchiha Feiyu's guess. However, because the war happened suddenly, the country of Sichuan has not gone through a solid wall to clear the country, so the Suna ninja can still hold on for a while. It seems, the Sand Ninja village relied on looting the current Kawa country to maintain morale and logistics. Uchiha Feiyu glanced at the map in his hand, with a thoughtful look on his face. As a desert-type country, the country of wind is not only lacking in products, but its combat supply lines are enough to make any army despair. Thanks to the difference between ninjas and ordinary armies, the Sand Ninjas have some room to take the initiative to attack. But even if ninjas rely on various ninjutsu and storage scrolls to make logistics and transportation much easier and reduce part of their dependence on logistics, they still cannot change the objective situation that the Kingdom of Wind's logistics materials are insufficient and transportation is extremely difficult. However, the country of Kawakawa, which is relatively rich in materials, has greatly alleviated the dilemma of Suna Ninja Village. By directly plundering the country of Kawakawa, Suna Ninja Village's thousands of troops finally did not end up eating grass roots and chewing tree bark. In other words, those villages and towns in the kingdom of Kawa that are rich in materials should be the targets of Suna Ninja Village. That's right, Captain Feiyu. In addition to conducting guerrilla warfare, the team sent by Sand Ninja Village has a more important goal of plundering the entire Kawa country. In that case, let's just sit back and wait. Find the key place for grain production in the country of Sichuan. I believe that Sand Ninja Village will never give up there. Country of Sichuan, River Valley Town. The reason why the country of Sichuan is called this is because the rivers in the entire country are developed and the water system is rich. Water is the source of life. The country of Sichuan, which has many rivers, has also very developed agriculture. As for the most fertile land in the entire Kawa country, the valley town will definitely occupy one of them. There happens to be a river passing through the center of the valley between the two mountains, which brings a large amount of water vapor. Silt also makes the land extremely nutritious. On weekdays, relying on the fertile land, the villagers in the villages near Hihi town live a relatively prosperous life. As long as they grow some food, they will almost get a bumper harvest in the coming year. Unfortunately, with the war, the villages and towns with wealth but no force will face here comes the plunder of the Wind Country ninjas. These ninjas rushed into the villages around Hihi town and plundered all the food stored by the villagers. If there were warriors who dared to resist, they were not stingy in rewarding them. In just over half a month, several villages around Hihi town were destroyed. They were all looted. Sure enough, Sand Ninja Village has many teams here. If Konoha hadn't sent many ninjas here, even River Valley Town would have been broken and looted. As soon as he arrived in this area, Yamanaka Seichi had already discovered a lot of chakra reactions. After hearing the reports from his subordinates, Uchiha Feiyu couldn't help but sigh. Konoha ninjas are not idiots. They naturally try to destroy what Suna Ninja Village tries to accomplish. The forces of both sides are intertwined here. There are at least hundreds of ninjas gathered around this river valley town. Captain, what should we do? Should we first find the team from our ninja village? Only halfway through what Yamanaka Seichi said, Uchiha Feiyu shook his head. You don't have to do such troublesome things. You point out the direction and leave the rest to me. Yamanaka Seichi stopped talking for a moment, but used his ability to speak to transmit the chakra direction he sensed through the sensory ninjutsu to Uchiha Feiyu's brain. Uchiha Feiyu chuckled and drew out his short sword. The lightning on his body flashed and disappeared instantly. In a dense forest, several sand ninjas had set up traps. It looked like several Konoha ninjas were coming here, with proud smiles on their lips. The sizzling sound of lightning striking the air sounded, and the Konoha ninjas who were rushing here immediately stopped and looked around. The several sand ninjas who were ambushing were shocked. One of the ninjas with the ability to sense directly shouted, "Be careful, an enemy is coming." Before he could finish his words, a figure like thunder split the jungle in an instant, and the sword of light, which was as electric as lightning, struck down on the head, and the sand ninja blocking the front was instantly cut in half. Among the remaining 3 sand ninjas, one raised his hand directly and released a large number of poisonous needles, but only scratched the afterimage of Uchiha Feiyu. The other sand ninja slapped the ground with both hands. Earth escape. Huang Quanz's technique. The ground turned into mud and spread. This Yamazawa ninjutsu was the best choice to deal with high-speed ninjas. However, Hitaki Sakumo, who is now possessed by Uchiha Feiha, has experienced many battles and is not able to deal with this kind of ninjutsu. The situation had already been dealt with. A faint electric light spurted out from Uchiha Feiyu's feet. After the original underworld mud came into contact with the electric light, it directly turned into dry land. This is exactly the principle of ninjutsu mutual restraint applied to Lake Kitu. The underworld swamp only blocked Uchiha Feiyu for a moment and was already broken. Before the ninja who performed the ninjutsu could complete the seal, a sword light had already cut through his throat, blood spurted out, and the ninja's head fell off immediately. Down. Among the remaining 2 ninjas, the ninja who used the poisonous needle rushed over with his hands open, trying to take the opportunity to hug Uchiha Feiyu. With a clicking sound, the clothes on this ninja's body were torn and stabbed out. Lots of sharp thorns. There has never been a corpse ninja from the Kagaya clan in the Sand Ninja village. Obviously, this ninja, with long thorns all over his body should be a puppet himself. As for the other sensory ninja, he was retreating to the jungle behind like a gust of wind, trying to escape. The white light of the short sword in Uchiha Feiyu's hand surged and turned into a nearly 3 to 4 meter lightsaber. With a single stroke, the puppet that rushed towards him was split into 8 pieces. Then Uchiha Feiyu exerted force on his feet and rushed out from the large pieces of puppet debris. The lightsaber swept across, and with a scream, the fleeing perception ninja was directly cut in half. At this moment, the puppeteer hiding in the tree trunk was already pale and trembling. Uchiha Feiyu turned his head and saw that the big tree next to him was shaking and making a dong-dong sound. He sneered and stretched out his hand to make a seal, and sprayed out a huge fireball. Amid the shrill screams, a figure covered in fire rushed out from the burning wreckage of the tree trunk. The poor puppeteer ran a few steps and finally died completely. He fell to the ground and left only a pile of charcoal. Tisk, he actually killed his opponent with the Great Fireball technique. I think my Great Fireball technique must be ranked first among Naruto ninjas. While joking, Uchiha Feiyu frowned and took 2 steps back. The smell of burnt protein still emanating from the bodies of the ninjas burned to death by the fire release made Uchiha Feiyu, who was killing for the second time, feel a little sick. He stretched out his hand, and took back the soul light balls that could only be seen by Uchiha Feiyu. At this time, there were bursts of noises from the jungle behind him, and Yamanaka Chungi came out with several Konoha ninjas. After Uchiha Feiyu arrived near Hegu town, Konoha quickly gained the upper hand in this small-scale regional conflict. Within 3 days, the 2 of them successively killed 7 teams of Sand Village, causing heavy losses to the entire Sand Ninja, and finally had to withdraw from Hegu town. Yamanaka Chungi determined the location, and Uchiha Feiyu started killing people. The whole thing was extremely easy, as if taking something out of a bag. When some Konoha ninjas in Hegu town saw Uchiha Feiyu taking action, they almost suspected that the former Konoha White Fang had resurrected again. They worshipped him like a god, which made Uchiha Feiyu understand how powerful Hitaki Sakumo was back then. On a small hill near Hegu town, Uchiha Feiyu looked at his men. How is it? Chungi, is there any chakra reaction nearby? Yamakatsu Chungi shook his head. Except for the chakra reaction of some Konoha ninjas, there is no strange chakra nearby. The ninjas of Sand Village should have completely left. Well, it seems that the prey here has been killed. Uchiha Feiyu sighed softly, and the expression on his face was still a little unsatisfied, which made Yamanaka Chungi's expression slightly stiff. Orochimaru also said that this Uchiha was born afraid of death. Now it seems that he is clearly a killer. Uchiha Feiyu is certainly not a killer star who has descended to Earth. The reason why he likes to kill so much is, on the one hand, to accumulate some souls, and on the other hand, it is because the black air obtained by killing can be used for sacrifice. He didn't have much sense of belonging to this world. At this moment, he got the golden finger of killing and exploding gold coins. Naturally, he regarded these hostile ninjas as experience points, without any mercy. In that case, let's go back to the camp first, rest a little, and then continue the mission. Uchiha Feiyu looked at the soul balls surrounding him with a vague look. These souls were naturally the souls of the sand ninjas he killed. Unlike Hitaki Sakumo, the sand ninjas were unwilling to pass on their unique skills to Uchiha Feiyu. But it didn't matter. Uchiha Feiyu could use these souls to perform skills, and then infer the principles and methods through the ninjutsu performed. It was more difficult than the other party's soul possessing and teaching in person, but it was much faster than learning slowly. In running around and killing outside, although a lot of gold coins could be exploded, it also delayed the growth of Uchiha Feiyu's chakra, leaving him with too much time to devour and refine the soul of the dragon earth cave snake. After hearing what Uchiha Feiyu said, Yamanaka Chungi secretly breathed a sigh of relief. In the past 3 days, Uchiha Feiyu had swept the entire River Valley town, but he, the hero behind the scenes, also made great contributions. Especially since he did not have the overwhelming strength of Uchiha Feiyu, he was under great pressure. Now that he can go back to rest, he is naturally very happy. At the Konoha camp headquarters, Orochimaru looked at the pile of blood-stained sand ninja forehead protectors in front of him, and couldn't help but smile. Although I have known that Feiyu-kun is very powerful, I am still a little surprised that he can do this. The power of Konoha White Fang back then can now be seen in Feiyu-kun. Most of the ninjas who can conduct guerrilla warfare on the front line in the form of a team during the war are elites among the ninjas. Among these more than 20 ninjas, at least half are chunin. After Yamanaka Chungi searched his brain, he found 3 special jonin in it. This level of loss is enough to make the sand ninja feel distressed. The most important thing is that this is only the harvest of Uchiha Feiyu's killing in 3 days. If he keeps this killing efficiency, the whole sand ninja will probably be killed to death in 2 or 3 months. Senior Orochimaru, don't just talk and don't practice, right? After completing the task, are there any rewards? Uchiha Feiyu ignored Orochimaru's chicken soup and directly spread his hands to ask for benefits. Orochimaru's mouth twitched. This guy is so thick-skinned. No, it should be said that he is completely shameless. Of course there are rewards. First of all, congratulations to Feiyu for becoming a special jonin. As the leader of the front line, I can only promote you to this level. If you want to become a formal jonin, you must be promoted by the Hokage himself. In addition, according to the number of people you complete the task, you can get to A-level permissions and learn to A-level ninjutsu. Although I don't have the book of sealing here, I also have a ninjutsu learning catalog. You can take a look at it first. If there is nothing you like, you can return to Konoha to learn the ninjutsu in the book of sealing. The ninjutsu there is more comprehensive. Also, you killed more than 20 ninjas, and the total mission reward is 2 million taels. This is the monetary reward for you. Special jonin, it sounds like it is similar to jonin. In fact, as I said before, power and other things are much different from jonin, and it is no different from chunin. 2A-level ninjutsu sound great, but unfortunately Uchiha Feiyu's current accumulation is shallow. Apart from Hitaki Sakumo's White Fang swordsmanship and the accompanying ninjutsu, the others are just some ordinary C-level ninjutsu. For the time being, he has no intention to learn more and can only put it down in the account. 2 million taels of money, converted into RMB, is almost 1 million. 1 tael equals 10 yen, which is a huge amount that Uchiha Feiyu has never seen before. However, after thinking carefully, this money is at most 1/10 of a suma, and Uchiha Feiyu's excitement calmed down. After receiving the reward, Uchiha Feiyu first distributed part of the task bonus to Yamanaka Chungi, and then plunged into the training ground. During this period, he killed a lot of people and harvested a lot of souls. Uchiha Feiyu is ready to completely squeeze out the ninjutsu that these souls know and improve his hard power again. Due to the influence of the environment, most of the ninjas in the Sand Village practice wind escape, earth escape, and fire escape, and some practice puppet secrets. The puppet technique practices chakra control and is also closely related to yin escape. After a month of rest and training, Uchiha Feiyu's wind escape chakra has caught up with the lightning escape chakra. The skills and experience of more than 20 sand ninjas have made him progress rapidly. The shortcomings of Hitaki Sakumo's White Fang swordsmanship in wind escape have also been completely made up. In addition, he has also learned some skills of the sand ninjas, including 2 wind escape ninjutsu worth learning, wind cut and wind blade, several B-level and C-level illusions, and a close-range perception ninjutsu that releases chakra lines like spider webs, which is a puppet master's unique close-range perception ninjutsu. The Dark Book of Demonic Inheritance is still suspended in the darkness. In the altar below, more than 20 black air lines of different lengths are constantly wandering. After Uchiha Feiyu entered this space, he directly asked a question: can he guarantee that the inheritance given by the Book of Magic will be useful to him? The Book of Demonic Inheritance in the sky emitted bursts of black light, forming twisted and strange words. If there is a clear goal when making a sacrifice, 10 times the lives of the living beings will be needed. Uchiha Feiyu was stunned for a moment and touched his chin. In other words, if I really want some magic knowledge, I have to spend 10 times the sacrifice to get it. And if it is an ordinary sacrifice, it is difficult to say whether the knowledge obtained is useful, just like the method of cultivating silver-scaled vipers at the beginning. Although it is called the Encyclopedia of Demonic Path Inheritance, based on the experience of Uchiha Feiyu's 2 inheritances, it seems that any dangerous and vicious technique can be included in this big book. For example, the methods of cultivating the spiritual punishment general and the silver scale viper. In theory, these 2 inheritances cannot be called orthodox magic. They can only be regarded as evil kung fu. However, they are still included in this book. This shows that this big book, the internal content is probably really all-encompassing and countless. In this case, most of the knowledge and inheritance obtained by Uchiha Feiyu's sacrifice may not meet his requirements. Anyway, let's give it a try first. First sacrifice directly with 10 strands of black energy, and then try the explicit sacrifice method. 10 wisps of black energy disappeared in a flash, the Book of Demon Inheritance shook slightly, and a black light shot into Uchiha Feiyu. Vampire's Touch. Isn't this the necromancy spell in Dungeons and Dragons? Is this even considered a magic spell? Will there be Finger of Death, Lich Reincarnation, Summoning Undead and other spells in the future? Or just change your profession to become a necromancer? But, a spell like Vampire Touch might not be adaptable to the world of Naruto, right? Chakra and mana in the D&D world are not the same thing. The effect of Vampire Touch in the D&D world is to cause huge damage to the enemy and convert half of the damage received by the enemy into healing energy to heal yourself. The disadvantage is that it must be in physical contact before it can be used. Although it is only a 3rd-level spell in the D&D world, in the Naruto world, it can be rated as an S-level ninjutsu at least. It cannot be said to be useless. But, it is still a bit difficult to convert this kind of magic into ninjutsu. At least with Uchiha Feiyu's background, it will definitely be impossible in a short time. Moreover, the Vampire Touch requires physical contact, and cutting with a knife will definitely not count. Although it is completely different from Uchiha Feiyu's own fighting system, it is slightly difficult to integrate. Let's just think of it as a foundation first, you can always use it in the future. For now, let's try a sacrifice method with a clear goal. With a thought in Uchiha Feiyu's mind, the remaining dozen or so black energy evaporated completely in an instant. The Black Book of Demonic Inheritance trembled slightly, and another message was conveyed. When Uchiha Feiyu made the sacrifice just now, what came to mind was that he hoped to gain a swordsmanship, mainly because the effect of precise sacrifice was only 1/10, which was equivalent to sacrificing a Chunin-level black energy of death, and it's impossible to get anything too good. And what the Book of Demonic Heritage sent to Uchiha Feiyu was indeed not a good thing, only the move version of the evil repelling sword technique. The sword technique to ward off evil comes from the Sunflower Book. It is an evil martial art that requires a lot of effort to practice. After practicing it, the body will look like a ghost, and it is extremely fast. As long as you pass the first level and swing your sword from the palace, you can be in the palace. Learn a lot in a very short time. It's just that what Uchiha Feiyu got was only the version of the move, which was the kind of showmanship that Lin Zhenan and Lin Ping'an swordsmen began to practice. Tisk. If you say it's useless, it's not that bad. If you say it's useful, it doesn't seem to be of much use. Uchiha Feiyu looked at the evil-proofing sword technique with some disgust, and finally decided to let Hitaki Tsukumo come and see this sword technique, which might inspire him a lot. After all, Tsukumo's white-fanged sword technique can be called a high-speed style. Maybe it can be linked with the evil-proof sword technique. After getting 2 gains, Uchiha Feiyu directly exited this space and made up his mind. I have to cut more people. If I cut more than 200 people this time, I can directly get a more accurate inheritance at the same level as Vampire Touch. Vampire Touch combines killing and healing. It is also the top S-level ninjutsu in the world of Naruto. Any S-level ninjutsu can create an elite Junin, even in shadow-level battles. All the ninjutsu can be said to be the best moves in the box. If he really gets some supporting inheritance, Uchiha Feiyu's strength will definitely improve by leaps and bounds again in a short period of time, and he will truly enter the quasi-cage level. In fact, after this period of training, Uchiha Feiha is now in the possessed state of Hitaki Tsukumo, and can be regarded as a cage-level ninja, but the weakest kind. Even without Hitaki Tsukumo, Uchiha Hiba's strength can already be regarded as an elite Junin. Of course, just as the possessed state belongs to the cage-level floor, Uchiha Hiba in the blank state has just entered the entry level. Elite Jonin. With a good expectation for the future, Uchiha Feiyu left the magic space directly. After more than a month of cultivation, he felt that his strength had reached the peak at this moment, and he was ready to go to Orochimaru for some tasks. This time I can be a little more radical. After all, almost no one can threaten my life on the battlefield now. Unless the fourth cage is crazy and comes to kill me personally, even Chio, the puppeteer, has no ability to kill me. Thinking in his heart, Uchiha Feiyu walked out of the hidden training ground he opened up and walked towards the camp of Konoha. However, halfway through, his expression changed slightly. What's going on? Why are there so many strange soul auras nearby? Uchiha Feiyu, who has the ability to bind souls and condemn generals, can sense the soul auras at close range. In this sense, he can also be regarded as a perception ninja, but the perception range is very narrow, and the original range that can be perceived is even less than 20 meters. However, after killing many sand ninjas and combining the perception abilities of one of the perception ninjas, his perception range suddenly expanded by more than 10 times, and he could now sense the soul aura of life within a range of 200 meters. Now he discovered that some strange soul auras seemed to appear within this range. If he had sensed these strange auras a few months ago, Uchiha Feiyu would have retreated long ago. However, he is now a skilled and courageous person. After a slight hesitation, he rushed to the place where he felt strange souls gathered. What's going on? Invisibility. When Uchiha Feiyu arrived at the place where he sensed something strange, he found that there were no human figures here, but his soul perception could sense that there were 4 strange souls hiding in a bush. When Uchiha Feiyu focused his eyes there, he vaguely felt that something seemed wrong. The double Magatama in his Sharingan kept spinning, and finally found that the outline there seemed a bit strange. Is this camouflage hiding technique? In the ninja school, some simple concealment methods that do not involve chakra are also taught, including the method of using camouflage cloth to hide the body, but this concealment method can only deal with the view of dozens or hundreds of meters away, and people will see the flaws at close range. However, in the ninja world, there is a wind-style ninjutsu called the camouflage hidden technique, which is a semi-stealth ninjutsu developed based on this principle. By finely controlling the water molecules in the air that are invisible to the naked eye through wind attribute chakra, and wrapping them around the body, it can produce an effect that is almost like optical invisibility. Although it belongs to wind-style ninjutsu, it is a ninjutsu unique to the rock ninja village. If Uchiha Feiyu did not have the ability to perceive the soul, even if he opened the Sharingan, he would probably ignore these ninjas. It's only 2 or 3 kilometers away from Konoha's camp. The ninjas from the rock ninja village appear here. It seems that they are preparing for a surprise attack. With a firm thought in his mind, the sound of wind and thunder has already sounded on Uchiha Feiyu's body, and he rushed directly to the invisible rock ninja with a whoosh. Hearing the sound of wind and thunder coming from behind, these invisible rock ninjas reacted immediately and scattered, and the camouflage hidden technique under the high-speed movement was instantly broken, revealing the figures of 4 rock ninjas. Facing Uchiha Feiyu, the person in front was a very tall rock ninja. After a roar, his whole body turned black. At the same time, Uchiha Feiyu had already chopped down with a knife. This guy has a good reaction. He can actually react to my attack. He is at least at the level of a special ninja. The knife flashed, and Uchiha Feiyu immediately felt that the short knife in his hand encountered a resistance. If the white fang knife technique cuts through the body of an ordinary person, it is like cutting tofu. Now Uchiha Feiyu feels like he cut a rotten wood. This tall rock ninja used the hardening technique, which is the easiest to learn and difficult to master among the earth escape techniques. The ordinary hardening technique is almost equivalent to a layer of iron armor. The stronger the strength, the higher the effect of the hardening technique. For example, the earth spear developed by the immortal ninja Kakuzu in the comics is also a kind of earth escape hardening technique. It can completely fight against ordinary A-level ninjutsu, that is, it will break the defense when facing A-level lightning escape in S-level ninjutsu. Of course, Kakuzu was a cage-level ninja, and Uchiha Feiyu was only facing an ordinary rock ninja, so his sword only made the blade a little obscure, but it did not break the defense. The tall rock ninja on the opposite side groaned, and used the earth escape hardening technique to block the blade. The rock ninja retreated quickly, and was not cut in half in the end. Only a deep scar on the chest was left. Just as the tall rock ninja retreated, other rock ninjas rushed over without saying a word. The fastest came from 2 ninjas who looked similar. One on the left and one on the right, each drew a long sword and chopped it down instantly. The short sword in Uchiha Feiyu's hand burst into white light, easily blocking the opponent's sword technique, and even chopped back to force the 2 back, but he was also secretly shocked in his heart. These guys are able to fight with Hitaki Sakumo, they are all good players at the level of Jonin. But it is normal to think about it carefully. These are ninjas who are preparing to raid the Konoha camp. The rock village will definitely send out the elite of the elite. Those who are not at the level of Jonin will only drag their feet. While thinking in his heart, Uchiha Feiyu raised his hand and threw a flare. With the explosion of the flare in the sky, the entire Konoha camp suddenly seemed to wake up like a giant beast. Not good. The plan failed, prepare to retreat. The face of the rock ninja who stood at the end and did not fight with Uchiha Feiyu suddenly changed. At the same time, Uchiha Feiyu's eyes were completely fixed on him. The camouflage hiding technique just now should be used by this rock ninja. Judging from the positions of several people, this guy should be the captain of this group of rock ninjas. The general camouflage technique can only hide one's body shape, but when this ninja performed the ninjutsu just now, he directly included the surrounding area of several meters into the camouflage, and forcibly developed a single-person invisibility technique into a group invisibility technique. With this trick alone, this guy is probably not a simple guy among the senior ninjas. Want to run, can you run? Feiyu showed a sneer on his face. At this moment, the 2 rock ninjas who should be brothers rushed up again waving their long swords in their hands, trying their best to entangle Feiyu. The rock ninja who was almost disemboweled stretched out his hand and emitted a faint green light, and began to treat himself. And the last rock ninja captain made a seal with both hands. Earth escape, light and heavy rock technique. Earth escape, split earth palm. The ground cracked rapidly, and a huge chasm appeared, blocking Uchiha Feiyu and the Iwagakure ninjas. The pair of Iwagakure brothers who had just entangled Uchiha Feiyu also retreated at the last moment, but each of them had a deep scar on their bodies. The earth-splitting palm was originally a ninjutsu used to attack with this kind of ground cracking, but this Iwagakure ninja obviously used it as a ninjutsu for retreat. The captain said. Konoha is really worthy of being the cradle of geniuses. You have such strength at such a young age, almost at the level of Kage. Young man, can you tell me your name? Uchiha Feiyu sneered. This guy just looked at the chasm on the ground and felt that he was safe, so he wanted to inquire about the information. If it was a month or two earlier, Uchiha Feiyu, a melee unit, would have no way to deal with them, but now. Slowly raising his head, two Magatama kept spinning in Uchiha Feiyu's Sharingan, which immediately changed the face of the rock ninja captain. Sharingan. Not good. Unfortunately, by the time he reacted, he had already fallen into the illusion. At this moment, Uchiha Feiyu swung the short sword in his hand, and a sword energy condensed by the wind escape instantly swung out like a huge half-moon. Hitaki Sakumo's white teeth sword technique itself carries the two skills of wind and thunder chakra properties change, among which the change of the thunder attribute chakra properties is the main part. The previous Uchiha Feiha has also been specializing in the thunder attribute. Until this period, thanks to Hitaki Sakumo's possession training and the devoted contributions of more than 20 sand ninja souls, Uchiha Fei's change in wind attribute chakra properties also caught up with the level of thunder attribute. Only then did he display the White Fang sword technique in its heyday. There are two ways to use the changes in the nature of wind chakra in White Fang Toolshu. One is to wrap around the body to form airflow, eliminate air resistance, reduce sound and increase speed. The other is what Uchiha Feiyu just used, which is almost flying. A normal long-range attack with sword energy. This kind of long-range sword attack is no less powerful than the B-level Fukiri no Jutsu, but it does not require seals during combat. It can be used by just waving the sword lightly. It is precisely the sword energy that makes up for the long-range attack. Only after the shortcomings of Hitaki Sakumo's White Fang swordsmanship did he truly achieve his mastery, reaching the point of being impeccable. The captain of the Iwa ninja team opposite was first confused by Uchiha Hiba's advanced Sharingan illusion. He was stunned for a second or two, and then he was cut in half by the sword energy, and his whole person was cut in half in an instant. On the contrary, the other three injured ninjas, because they did not look directly at the Sharingan, were forced to panic by Feiyu's sword energy without forming seals, but they still managed to avoid the attack. Captain. The tall Iwa ninja roared angrily, but the other two Iwa ninja brothers reached out and grabbed his left and right arms. Don't be impulsive, we have no chance of winning. Moreover, this mission has failed, and reinforcements from Konoha will be coming soon. Uchiha, just wait for me. The tall Iwa ninja had a hateful look on his face and threatened not to run away after school, and finally retreated with the pair of Iwa ninja brothers. Uchiha Feiyu glanced at the gap on the ground, and finally did not pursue it, but at this moment the entire periphery of Konoha was in chaos, and his sensitive five senses even sensed a lot of battles taking place. It seems that the Iwa ninjas should have sent more than this team in this raid, but with my signal, I guess these Iwa ninjas won't be able to take advantage. While guessing the situation, Uchiha Feiyu stretched out his hand and took the soul of the Iwa ninja team leader into his bag. This was indeed the case. After a short while of turmoil, the fighting near the Konoha camp calmed down, and Uchiha Feiyu soon saw Orochimaru. Feiyu-kun, it's all thanks to you this time. There was a hint of anger in Orochimaru's expression, and he thanked Uchiha Feiyu. It's nothing. It's a coincidence. These guys happen to be very close to my training ground. What's going on? Did the Iwa ninja also declare war on us? Orochimaru's expression turned cold, and there was a bit of anger in his eyes. I just received the expedited psychic technique in the declaration of war from the Iwa ninja village and submitted it to Konoha. Haha, the old man Onoki really made a good plan. The raid and the declaration of war were carried out at the same time. This old ghost likes to play these are unattractive things. How many people are coming from the other side? What are their strengths? Uchiha Feiyu didn't pay attention to Onoki's tricks. To be honest, tearing up the contract and going to war without declaring it is almost a norm in the entire ninja world. Onoki's putting a surprise attack and declaring war together can only be regarded as childish. From now on the Suna ninja had even more fun during the Chunin exams, and now Feiyu only cares about the strength of the Iwa ninja village. We don't know the specific large forces, but there are 5 teams that just raided, with a total of 20 people. The strength of all of them is at least at the special Junin level. These ninjas are either proficient in the art of earth movement, or they have large-scale camouflage concealment techniques, so they can lurk in such a close place. If the raid is successful, the damage caused will definitely not be small. A team of 20 people raiding a camp with thousands of people may sound like a joke, but if everyone is a special Junin or above, then it really shouldn't be underestimated. Ninjas are originally glass cannons with high attack and defense. Almost Junin-level ninjas have large-scale destructive ninjutsu. In a sudden outbreak, it is normal for a set of combined ninjutsu to take away thousands of lives in the camp. By that time, the Konoha camp may not be called a serious loss of vitality, but it can still be considered a serious injury. Uchiha Feiyu didn't care much about the bankrupt plan of Iwa Ninja Village. He was more concerned about the fact that Iwa Ninja had now directly declared war on Konoha. Are the Iwa ninjas also preparing to go to war with Konoha? So now we are 1 against 2. That's right, but the Kawa Kuni battlefield should only be a secondary battlefield for the Iwa ninjas. They won't invest too many ninjas here. Uchiha Feiyu nodded to express his understanding. The kingdom of Kawa already had a large number of ninjas from Konoha and Sand Ninja. If the Iwa ninja also pressed forward with an army, it would probably be a repeat of what happened on the Rain Country battlefield in World War II. During the Second World War in the ninja world, Konoha, Iwa Ninja Village, Sand Ninja Village, and Rain Ninja gathered in a small country of rain at the same time, and almost killed people with blood flowing into rivers. In the end, no one in the 4 parties got a good deal, and all the energy was lost. He was seriously injured and even nearly wiped out. This is because all ninja villages will not trust other ninja villages. It is impossible for Iwa Ninja and Sand Ninja to truly join forces to attack Konoha. Instead, they will regard each other as hostile targets. At most, their combat priority will be slightly worse than Konoha. So when the 2 parties are added together, the result is 1 + 1 less than 2. In this case, dividing the battlefield and attacking Konoha at the same time is the best choice for those ninja villages who want to cut meat from Konoha. However, every time the Ninja World War besieged Konoha in the early stage, it was fine. In the later stage, this strategy would always become a mess and turn into a chaotic war. The hatred between the major ninja villages, the suspicion of other ninja villages, the desire to reduce the strength of other ninja villages and the greed of taking the fruits of victory alone, the tricks and discord between the ninja villages, always make other ninja villages fight each other. The ninjas sent by the Rock Ninja should not exceed 1,000 people. The main goal is probably to increase pressure on us, to make more efforts, and to contain the troops of Konoha. It's a pity that we must increase reinforcements and make foolproof preparations even though we know this. Orochimaru analyzed it calmly, but he still had to ask for reinforcements. As long as the Rock Ninja still maintained its strength on the battlefield of the river country, he must not take it lightly. Ninjas are a profession that is good at deception. Although the strategic plans of these guys are terrible, their tactics should not be underestimated. You never know, the enemy may switch from containment to main attack, and bring in a large number of elite troops to break through your front line. Thanks for watching.